What's up everybody, it's Pete. Thanks for watching. This is an Ice Shanty video. Before we even get started, I just want to quickly ask everybody on here, if you've somehow stumbled upon this video through the interwebs somehow, please get over to iceshanty.com, sign up for a username. It's free to participate. It's the best place online for you to get the most information regarding ice fishing. And even more importantly, it's the best place for you to meet a whole bunch of other people that are knowledgeable and passionate about the sport of ice fishing. So go do that. I'll put a link in the description below. Next, most important, please like and subscribe to our channel here. If you're already an Ice Shanty member, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date. The more subscriptions we get, the more content we're going to be able to create, the more people we're going to be able to reach. So, enough of that. Let's get on to the topic. The topic today is simple. It's tip-ups. This is a beginner video. For you guys that have been in this sport for a long time and know what you're doing, I'm going to do you a favor right now. Don't watch anymore. It's going to bore you. But this is a question I get a lot on the shanty, in my private messages, on Facebook, in my email. It's a beginner question about what kind of gear to get started. I'm big on getting people into the sport. I want to get people involved. So I talk to a lot of people who are just starting out. And it wasn't too long ago that I was just starting out too. So I figured out a lot of this stuff along the way. One of the questions I get is, which is the best type of tip-up? Which we all know is kind of an unanswerable question. What we're going to do today is we're going to focus on 3 different tip-up models because they're the 3 models that I have and use. We're going to go in order of price from lowest to highest, and we're going to talk about all the features. We're going to start with the Hard Water Explorer, which is a very basic model. We're going to move from that to HT's Polar Big Game Tip-Ups, which are the thermal version. And then we're going to end with Indian Hills. You all have heard of them. So let's get to it. First on the list is the Hard Water Explorer. It's from icefish.com, which actually is a website I've never been to, so I don't know much about them. This is an extremely entry-level tip-up. It is your standard cross-beam type of tip-up. I'm not sure the exact technical name of that, but the way they look when they're set up is something like that. If you know nothing about tip-ups at all, this ends in the water. These braces are holding you on the ice, and there's a flag way up here in the air. So that's the general gist of it. I'm not going to go into how tip-ups work in this video. If you're that new to the sport, there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube that can explain all of that. Most of the manufacturers have explanations like that. That's not what this is about. We're going to get past that. Anyways, when I first started ice fishing, these were the first traps I bought, and that was for one reason only. They were cheap. These cost, I saw these actually today at Dick's Sporting Goods for less than $8 a trap. That's unbeatable. Now, for less than $8 a trap, what do you get? Well, I'm going to show you. And the quick answer is, you don't get very much. All the components on this are the most basic, the cheapest components that you can have. Now that being said, they do work, and I've had my set of 5 of these for at least 5 years now, using them every winter a lot. I've caught hundreds of fish on them, and I can't say that, other than they are more fragile than some other brands, I can't say that they won't catch you fish. They will. It all just depends on the application and what you need. So let's go over this. This is a standard tip-up, okay? Some things that I really like about this: they're extremely easy to use. The mechanism for setting the trap, I'll probably hit myself in the face with this, is just a hook on a wire like that. When the bail moves, it hits the trigger down at the bottom and pops it up. That's standard mechanics. That all works fine. It rarely ever fails to move the flag when there's a strike. These are reliable. Like I said, I've used them a lot. So I guess my overall opinion of these is, yeah, if you're just getting into the sport and you're looking at how much money it costs to get into this, especially if you already spend money open water fishing, saltwater fishing, and all of that, yeah, it can be overwhelming. For about $8 a trap, you can get 5 traps, which is your maximum amount of lines in Massachusetts, for $40. Then you still got money to go get your Dacron, your leaders, your swivels, your hooks, your auger, your cold weather gear, everything else that you got to spend $1,000 on. So, you know, money definitely counts. And as far as value goes, there's a huge value in tip-ups that are under $8 a trap. So that's what these are. If you're just getting into the sport, it's a great entry-level product. Will they last 10 years? I don't know. My guess would be no. The components will probably rust. Things will probably start to bend and break. This isn't the thickest material. If someone were to step on this by accident, or if this was to get frozen in around a hole and you were trying to yank it free, it would probably snap. So you have to be a little careful with it. But, you know, the real moral of the story here is they do catch fish. I was catching pike on these last Saturday. So, all right, that's my opinion on those. Let's move on to another style of tip-up. Okay, so next we're going to look at the HT Enterprises. This is called the big game tip-up, and this style of tip-up is called a thermal tip-up. The reason for that is because it's able to capture heat from the sun on this disc and keep the water on the surface of the hole from freezing a lot better than a traditional style tip-up can. So that's one benefit of this. This looks a lot different than the last one I showed you. Let me explain to you real quick how it works. There's a round disc that sits on the ice just like this. There's a big flag right here. There is a trigger mechanism, the trap, that, I hope you can see that, leaves the spool down in the water and the triggering mechanism up above the water. When the trap is set, this bar is over the trap. Try to do this one-handed, like that, so that when a fish takes your bait and pulls on the line, it rotates this, freeing the flag and signaling to you that there's a fish on. Then you can also see this moving as you approach the hole to see if, you know, whether the fish is stationary or is moving with it. That's another plus. There's also a nice little storage compartment on a lot of these, which I don't actually use, but I bet is pretty handy if you want to keep a few extra weights and hooks in there. I don't actually use it. I keep all my stuff in my tackle box, but that's neat. Another nice thing about these is they store really well in like a 5-gallon plastic bucket, like a Home Depot bucket. You can store them all vertically, easy to move. They're not very heavy. They're made of pretty durable plastic. One thing I worry about is when plastic gets really cold, it becomes brittle. I do have a few where this handle has broken off. I also have a few where these have bent or broken and I've had to tape them back together, so that's a pain in the butt. Overall, these are good traps. Now, the price difference between these and the hard waters that we just looked at is about 3 times. These I think retail for like $20, depends kind of where you buy them, but in that range, probably $18 to $22. If you're buying them in season, you can probably get some deals at the end of the season on them when they go on clearance. They're good traps. The components on these are far and away better and more heavy duty than the previous trap I showed you. They have a better, smoother spool. I think they have about the same line capacity. They have a nice hook holder on the side here that is kind of just made with tension that allows you to store a hook without things getting tangled up. They fold up really nicely when they're done, so you can get them out of the way. I've never had any problem with the trigger not functioning or a flag not being signaled with these. They're very reliable. Okay, let's discuss the cons on these. The cons on these, the first one is the height of the trap itself. So the trap sits really low. If you're fishing where there's already 5 or 6 inches or more snow on the ice, you will not see this disc. You're going to have to clear a big area to put this down over the hole, and you're not going to be able to see this disc at all. If the snow is up to here, you're barely going to see the flag when it pops up. So there's some shoveling that has to be done to be able to use these in a big amount of snow, or else they get buried. Also on windy days, if there's snow blowing across the ice, these can get covered up fast too. So you kind of have to watch that, or else they're going to start getting buried. Another thing is they are 10 inches wide. If you're drilling big 10-inch holes with a 10-inch auger, these barely fit. You usually have to offset them a little bit so that they don't fall into the hole itself. On a warm day, when your hole's getting wider, these can fall right into the hole. That hasn't happened to me, but I've had to kind of offset them to the side and balance them so that they wouldn't tip into the hole. A lot of people aren't using 10-inch holes anymore, except for like really big game, so that's not a big deal. I haven't fished anything bigger than a 6-inch hole all year, I don't think. So maybe not a big deal. You decide. $20, so it's a big price jump, but the quality's there. The features are a little different. They're definitely a superior trap to the ones I just showed you. Okay, so last we're going to look at the Indian Hill ice traps. Probably everybody on Ice Shanty has heard of these. I think Indian Hill was even a sponsor of the Shanty for a while. I believe he's no longer selling traps, or at least this year, maybe taking a break from it, so I'm not sure what the exact availability on Indian Hills is right now. Last I checked, their prices ranged anywhere from starting around $27 a trap and up, depending on what options you had chosen for them. So he makes them all custom in Worcester, Massachusetts. You have a lot of different options as far as color, size, actual style of trap, spool size, whether you want them to come with line on them, without. I'm probably forgetting some stuff. I think he finishes the wood different colors if you want to. He'll paint them pink for you or something. I don't know. Anyway, they're the most expensive of the ones we're looking at. They're the most expensive traps that I know of. I'm sure there are more expensive ones out there. I'm just not aware of them. If you know of any, comment below and let me know, and we'll look into them for you. So, what do you get for that type of money? Well, we've been talking about components the whole time, and what you get for that money is components and quality. Now, the overall trap itself, the general concept of it, okay, is really no different than the first trap I showed you. This is, has been the style for a long time. What's different about this is essentially everything is beefier, everything is better quality. If I hold up the first one we looked at, the hard water, and I hold up an arm from that, I don't know if you can see this. Here's an arm from that. It's probably 5/8 thickness on that wood there. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, is at least 3/4 of an inch, maybe more. That's a huge difference as far as strength of material goes. This, I could bend this. I could probably snap this if I tried hard enough. This material here, I'm not going to break this. I'm not going to snap this. It's not likely to break even if you were to step on it. Not that I recommend you do that. The spool is a lot bigger, a lot higher capacity, and a lot higher quality. It's not prone to bend or to break. These get banged up in the sled. They get banged up when you pull them up out of the water. If there's any skim coat of ice, they get banged up all the time. And these don't break. I've had this set of traps for probably 4 years. And mine definitely, I haven't treated them that well. So they're a little ugly. They're dirty. They've got scratches and dings on them and stuff. But that's me. When you buy these, they come in pristine condition, and if you're careful with your gear and easy on it, they're going to stay that way. I consider these heirloom quality. If I were to fish with these for the next 20 years, I would expect that they would still work just fine. These are the kind of thing you can pass on to your kids, and they'll probably fish with them for 20 years too. So it's something to think about for the money. Let me show you a couple other things about this that I like. The flag, this one's a little bit bent. They don't come like that. They come nice and straight, but the flag is on a spring and a heavy wire. It really sits up there very well. Another thing is when you're storing these flags are removable, so it makes it easier to store if you want to. They just fit right in there, snug. The trigger is really, can be basically as sensitive or as tough as you want. If you fold it all the way in, it'll really protect you from wind flag or from any type of sensitive trigger, like if you have a heavy bait on. And you can also set it a lot lighter if you want. Just have to be careful with how you set it, but you can set it a little more sensitive like that, where if there's just a little bit of movement, the flag will go. This is a cool feature right here. It doesn't seem like much, it's just a piece of plastic, but at the end of the day, you can slide that over your keeper and it just keeps everything neat in your sled. In the back of the truck, you don't have flags waving all over the place. It just keeps it nice and closed up. So good design feature there. This is all encased in a tube with lithium grease, so it runs smooth for a long time. Like I said, the spool's really heavy duty. The drag is adjustable on a spring. You can set it to be, extremely heavy if you're gonna fish, some big dead bait or something like that, and you can move it to just completely free spool if you want to. So there's a number of applications you can use this for. I've fished for big game species with these, and for all the kind of central mass, garbage that we're all fishing for every weekend too. Excellent high quality trap. Yes, you have to pay for it. As far as entry level goes, that just depends on your budget. To some people, this isn't expensive. To some people, this is out of the question. So you just have to judge kind of where you're at, what your level of commitment is financially to the sport, and make a decision from there. So those are the 3 traps that I run with. They're all different levels of quality. I catch fish on all of them all the time. One more question I have received is, well, which trap catches the most fish? And the answer to that is the traps you've got in the right place in the body of water you're fishing with the right bait at the right time. An Indian Hill doesn't catch more fish than a cheap $8 trap just on its own. A lot more goes into catching fish. Now, this may last years and years longer, and therefore over time catch more fish, but the trap alone isn't what gets you out there catching fish. There's a lot more to it. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, please post them in the comments, or you can private message me on the Shanty if you'd like. I try to get back to those within 24 hours. Remember to subscribe to our channel. We're going to have more videos like this. We're going to get into more advanced topics after this. All right, thanks guys, take care.